for the nightclubs. So we had literally hundreds of, probably 500 bottles of liquor, like, just in the garage. So you start getting like 14 and your friends come over and like, you want to see something cool, man? And you open the door and it's like fucking hundreds of bottles of liquor. And you're like, holy shit, dude, right? And so you go grab a few bottles and you start drinking to be cool, edgy teenager. And it's like all like fun and games when you're 14 and stuff. But when you fucking keep doing that, right, you develop, drinking problems, right? And, I wouldn't say I was like drinking every day from 14, but I was getting drunk at least, like really drunk, like at least once a week from 14 onward. And of course, as I got older, it became like a daily kind of problem and stuff, right? But, yeah, in my 20s and stuff, I fucking was a huge fucking drunk and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and every time I got fucking, not every time I got drunk, but like too often when I got drunk, it would turn into fucking like violence and shit. And people would always try and like restrain me, right? Because I would black out. And that's the problem. If this sounds familiar to you at all and you're struggling with this, I hope if you're sitting there going like, damn, that sounds familiar or whatever, you need to really like take a look at yourself and like pay attention. Because it took me a long time to break out of the cycle. When something happens, right, say you're 18 and you're all drinking and a fight breaks out or whatever, and the next day it's like, oh, well, that just happened because I got too drunk, right? That won't happen again. So maybe you go drink for another month or 2 months, 3 months or whatever, right? And nothing bad happens, and that's great, right? But eventually, 6 months down the line, a year down the line, you're drinking again, and if you're blacking out, first of all, like, you already have a problem. If you drink at all and you black out at all, you have a problem already. That's all there is to it. You shouldn't be blacking out when you're drinking. And then, maybe 6 months, a year down the line, something else happens. And it's like, well, that only happened because, I was drinking vodka and I need to be drinking whiskey, And then, however long, 6 months, a year, 2 years, nothing happens again. But then, boom, something happens one night, right? You black out, your friends are trying to, like, restrain you, and you're just sitting there just fucking swinging and punching and stuff, and you're hitting everybody. You're hitting guys, you're hitting girls, you're hitting adults, you're hitting fucking your friends. Like, you're just fucking just complete fucking ball of fucking rage, man, Because when you're drinking, and you black out, like, it takes you away. And your body's running on subconscious, right? I think that's like, I don't know if that's the science of it, but so your body's running on subconscious. Like, you're no longer like conscious, really. You're gone. Obviously, it's like it's still you, duh, but it's running on what's inside of you, So if you have fucking, if you have a fucking trauma or pent up rage, or that's why some people, they drink and they get super crazy and violent because they have shit going on the inside. And some people get drunk and blackout drunk and they're just like, hey man, come hug me, man, right? They're probably a little bit more stable on the inside, right? So when you drink and you get blackout drunk, like, your body's running on subconscious and stuff, right? And very clearly we had a lot of shit growing up in those nightclubs, and parent stuff, grandpa stuff, like there's a lot of, substance abuse. There's a lot of fucking violence. There's a lot of fucking, like, beatings. There's a lot of fucking, there's sexual abuse. Like, there's a whole bunch of shit, right? And that doesn't make a good recipe to go be getting blackout drunk with, right? But when you're young, that's a life lesson that you don't necessarily, like, understand. That, like, something's happening, and through the course of time you're justifying it for all these different reasons, right? Okay, like I said at the beginning, and some people never get out of it. Some people says they have shit going on the inside, and some people get drunk and blackout drunk and they're just like, hey man, come hug me, man, right? They're probably a little bit more stable on the inside, right? So when you drink and you get blackout drunk, like, your body's running on subconscious and stuff, right? And very clearly we had a lot of shit growing up in those nightclubs, and parent stuff, grandpa stuff, like, there's a lot of, substance abuse. There's a lot of fucking, violence. There's a lot of fucking, like, beatings. There's a lot of fucking, there's sexual abuse. Like, there's a whole bunch of shit, right? And that doesn't make a good recipe to go be getting blackout drunk with, right? But when you're young, that's a life lesson that you don't necessarily, like, understand. That, like, something's happening, and through the course of time you're justifying it for all these different reasons, right? Okay, like I said at the beginning, And some people never get out of it. Some people are still in their 40s and 50s and stuff and are still getting blackout drunk and shit's happening. And it's like, bro, you got to quit drinking. And they're like, no. This only happened because of this thing, this specific like event. I'm like, bro, if the same thing keeps happening, then it's like, it's going to happen again, right? And so getting to that point where you realize that, right, is the hard part. Like I said at the beginning, you justify it when you're younger of like, okay, we just got too drunk. And then 6 months, a year later, something happens and it's like, okay, well, that's because I was drinking. I mixed dark liquor and clear liquor together, And then it's like, okay, so the next time, a year happens later, 6 months, whatever. And it's like, okay, this one only happened because I took too many shots. So next time I drink, I'm only going to take 3 shots and 2 beer. You're still like trying to like justify it. You're still trying to fix a problem that continuously keeps happening with all this bullshit, and it never works. And that's the thing, is that none of them ever work. It's like, okay, I'm going in here. It's going to happen again. And you know how I know? Because it's been happening since I was 14 years old, right? And having that click in my brain of like, bro, you can't drink. You just can't do it. Like, you have to stay away from it entirely. Some people will never be able to drink casually, and that's the hardest part, because people want to be able to drink casually. Your friends are going out, your work friends are going out, hey, let's go to Chili's, let's grab a beer, and those people are able to go out and have a beer and be like, all right, mozzarella sticks of beer, it's time to go home, it's 6:30, 7 p.m., let's go home. And I'm sitting there going like, let's get a round of shots, this is going to be the greatest night of all time. And they're like, bro, it's Tuesday, man, we got work tomorrow. Yeah, right? Fucking, we see a lot of that on my stream too, right? There's a lot of high highs and low lows and everything, and I will never, ever, ever be someone who can drink casually. I will always, eventually, even if we have a good week or a month of drinking and nothing bad happens, eventually it'll go too far, and I'll black out and very likely become violent and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and hurt someone or burn a bridge or fucking do something stupid, or fucking, thankfully I've only fucking had the one DUI when I was 21, right? And going to that victims impact panel did fucking affect me, dude. That hit me hard, really hard. So I never drove drunk since. And obviously the rise of Ubers and